Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you are having a fantastic day from wherever you are around the world. And look, we had to come on again today and talk about, of course, that performance last night against Inter Milan, I should say, not AC Milan. And I have brought a few special guests with me as well. I've got Jamie from the Hearts of Liverpool, Jack McAllister, and Owen from the Cop On podcast. All the lads' links will be in the video description down below in the comment section. So please go and subscribe and go and listen, of course, to the Cop On podcast as well. And subscribe to that as well, I should say as well. But guys, first of all, we do have other news as well to talk about. We do have news about Diogo Jota and him potentially being out of the Carabao Cup final. We'll talk all about that in due course. We'll also speak as well about James Milner's contract situation and what is going on there anyway. But first of all, starting with a debutant on the channel, Jamie. Very pleasure to have you on, my friend. And how are you? What was your thoughts yesterday on the game?
Well, thanks for having me on the channel, Connor. I appreciate it. And the game yesterday, as I was saying, that I don't think we obviously didn't play very well yesterday. I think Inter Milan played to the best of their abilities that they can, and we played to 20% of ours and still won 2-0. I just think it shows the massive difference between English and Italian football right now. I mean, we've smashed about both Milan sides, and not with a lot of effort either. And yeah, it's I'm proper chuffed. I've got to admit, I'm proper chuffed.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom's in saying, "Oi, the firm." Hello, Tom.
Firm's in.
Day, my friend. Johnson saying, "Big up, Connor, Jack, Jamie, and Owen. Hope you are all well as well." I will say as well, Owen's tattoos are permanent.
Yeah, I think it's giving me lipstick as well. This filter. I didn't make it. But there you go. I'm running with it. Why not?
Yeah, of course. But we will get on, of course, to the main news that I think pretty much everyone is asking. And Jota out of the Carabao Cup final, question mark. It isn't for definite. I will say this for sure. But of course, David Maddock did tweet earlier saying that Diogo Jota is out for the weekend's game against Norwich with ankle ligament injury worries than first thought. But Liverpool have not ruled him out of the EFL Cup final versus Chelsea. At this stage, he will undergo rehab with physios in an attempt to make Wembley showpiece. And Jack, first of all, how much of an impact or a non-impact will this have on the Liverpool squad? Of course, we've finally been able to have a full fit and available Liverpool 11 and squad, I should say, realistically. But how much of an impact will this have? We've got 2 games before that, against Norwich and Leeds as well. But if Jota was to miss the final, how much of an impact would that have on the squad?
Of course, it'd be a massive miss, and due to obviously the goals in which he has scored Jota this season. But what we don't want to get caught up in, I'm pretty sure, Jürgen, we've got to think long term with Jota. Yes, we've got a final on the horizon, but we've got bigger trophies to be won. But even though I want to win the Capital One Cup as much as anyone, really, because I really think Liverpool being put in a position this season with as you mentioned, the squad depth in which we have now with Diaz and obviously Ibu coming in to reassure the defence this summer as well. So I'm hoping he's okay, mate. But obviously, in terms of long term, I think we just got to look after Jota. I'm pretty sure the technical staff and the rehabilitation people at the club won't be rushing him back too much. And we've seen that in the past with Ox and Gomez. Certain players have been rushed back too much. And especially with the ankle ligaments, you don't want to be messing about that. Obviously, the ankle is probably the most important part of the foot. No expert in bones, but you never know, there's someone out there. But I'm pretty sure it plays a massive part. And Jota will play a massive part, mate. But we've got enough quality depth within the squad to deal with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, as soon as you started mentioning that, I just thought of Harry Potter, where he just bends his arm back completely. That was in my head completely then, to be fair. But Owen, if Jota, as Jack said rightfully, I think we do have to be careful with it. Look, I remember James Milner a couple of seasons ago, of where I think he had a hamstring injury and we brought him back too quickly and got re-injured and was out then for a longer period of time. If we was to, take a step back, of course, we've got an amazing squad now. Diaz, Firmino, Mane can also play in that false nine position as well as left wing. Would you see it as Bobby being the main guy? As we've seen, Klopp has trusted even last night, for example, for being the guy to be the most complete with Jota. I know that we've all said at the start of the season where it was that toss up between Jota and Bobby to be in the starting 11. Do you think Bobby would be the number one choice, or do you think maybe Diaz might be on the left and Klopp might go with a Mane or someone like that? Or do you think it'll be Bobby?
Origi, wait, what?
Oh,
Yeah, the div. Why not? I think it depends on the opposition. So, for example, if we're talking about the Carabao Cup final, we've got 2 games before that, of course, Norwich and Leeds. And if we take all 3 of those games, I mean, I would play Bobby instead of Jota with Diaz or Mane on the left, and of course Salah on the right. Anyway, because I think in against a cagey team like Chelsea, you need your stealthiest predator. The Komodo dragon. Have you seen how they hunt? They bite. Speaking of ankles, they bite the ankle of their prey, and then they follow them for 2 days until the poison kicks in and they die. And they don't do anything. They just bite them on the ankle and then they just wait. And they're so stealthy the way they do it. That's Bobby Firmino. Whereas Diogo Jota is just, he's the Panthera pardus, the African leopard who, attacks with such ferocity. They just, they can actually just bite your skull off. So against a team like Leeds, if you would pardon the violence of the analogy, against a team like Leeds, I think, Diogo Jota would probably have started ahead of Bobby, possibly, Norwich, you could start anyone. You could start Taki, you could start Divock, I think, because, against Grant Hanley, anyone could do it. So it depends on the opposition. I don't think it's terrible news if one of the main front 5, if we are, unkind enough to discount Taki and Divock as being quite on the same level as the other 5. If we only lose one of those 5, it's not too bad. We're all right, as long as it's a minor injury like this seems to be. So I think it's I'm fine with it. I just hope he gets better because he's brilliant, isn't he, Diogo?
Well, yes, 12 league goals this season so far. It's not too bad then, I should say, and especially with people crying out for a striker, if you go onto Twitter. Anyway, but guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the situation. John says, if he is, I'm gutted for him, but we should have enough cover for the final. Liz says, I want all the shiny trophies. I think all of us do, pretty much, Liz. Guys as well saying evening all. John saying hi to Liz, hope you're well. Guy says Diaz will murder Norwich 7-0. Fingers crossed. We do have another Luis Suarez experience with that as well. Liz says Owen's looking festive this evening. Also, it's pronounced James freaking Milner. Apologies. I know Liz gets very, very ranked up. Let me do say this anyway. Hi, John. I'm okay. Hope you are well, says Liz. F. Gary, I hope you're all right, man. Gary, let us know. I think I've gone past that anyway. And as well, Elliot starts at the weekend, says Gary. But guys, keep your comments in about the Diogo Jota situation. Who would you put in front of him anyway? And let us know, your overall thoughts about the situation anyway. But let's get moving on to the Reds conquering Milan. Of course, Inter Milan, I should say. But of course, we have now beaten AC Milan and Inter Milan in Milan. It's a lot of Milans. But Jamie, it wasn't the Liverpool performance I think all of us were hoping for, especially looking at that midfield at the start. But it was a real gritty performance, and it was a sign of, in my opinion, true champions like we've seen Liverpool in the past, especially in 18-19 and so on. But what were your overall thoughts after the game and just the performance itself?
Well, it was a scrappy game, wasn't it? From our point of view, I think it was extremely scrappy. I watched the game back this morning because I always like watching games back when you know the result, you know everything that's happened, and you can take all your passion out of it and everything, and just watch it easier. And watching it back, I felt like there was a lot of. I thought Inter Milan did really well. I've got to say, for the first hour, they kept us. They stopped Trent and Robbo really pushing forward. They kept their win backs against ours. They kept nice and wide on the pitch, and they dominated midfield. I thought we were very loose in midfield. Poor Harvey, didn't have the greatest of games, but the kid's only 18. He's going to learn from all his experiences. And obviously, it all changed when the subs were made. And looking back on it, for me, the big sub was Bobby Firmino. Because as much as I love Jota, Salah, Mane, and all that, they're not best at holding up the ball. And what Bobby does, he holds up the ball and he brings everyone into play. And as soon as Bobby came on, you could see the defence in the midfield started to push up more onto the Italians' midfield. And that squeezing helped us to start to retain possession quicker. We were able, because their midfield had too much time on the ball earlier in the game for me and started knocking it about with ease. And as soon as Bobby came on, everything squeezed up a little bit better, more. And then Hendo, he was aggressive when he came on. There was not enough aggression for me. He was aggressive when he came on. I thought he was fantastic. Diaz was lightning on that left-hand side, taking all the defenders on. I mean, that middle-aged defence, he just took them on. And, yeah, we looked a lot better with them substitutions. And that last 20 minutes, I thought we battered them that last 20 minutes. And looking back at it, I mean, Alisson didn't make a save in their own ground, the Italian champions. And as I said to you before we started the show, I think we only played at 20% of our capacity yesterday and won 2-0. And for me, they played at 100% of their capacity and didn't even have a shot on target.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know, Jack, I know you had this earlier on your channel, but we were speaking about it earlier. Yeah, well, as you can see right there, Inter didn't have a single shot on target against Liverpool. The first time they have failed to do so in any home league or European game since we've started receiving Opta data in 2009. And to be fair, guys, that is a huge thing. You look at it. No one since 2009 has been able to do that. And even though we speak about Liverpool not having the cleanest performance, and Jack, I'll ask you this, it's the fact that every single chance, and as Jamie said, every single chance that Inter had, or any sniff, it was quickly shut down by both Virgil van Dijk and Ibu Konate. And we've seen that partnership in the league, especially against Brighton and other places as well. But for especially Konate to come into this game, not playing regular football, but just coming in to such a high-profile game, and just having probably, in my opinion, the best performances of his Liverpool career so far. First of all, what was your thoughts on that partnership? And I don't even think we've seen the best from Konate yet. And and to say that, a 22-year-old, if he's this good already, he has a bright future ahead, doesn't he?
Yeah, most definitely, mate. And I think and Klopp did make the right substitutions, but it was a tie where yes, Liverpool were deploying the higher line yet again. Especially when there was that stage in the second half, Van Dijk just ushered Dzeko the ball through to Alisson, and you could see there was a picture of him, and Dzeko was like, oh. He's like, it can't be dealing with Virgil van Dijk. Both of them are physical specimens. The 6'5", rapid over the field, and they're very good at playing defensive football as well. So they read the game in so well, and they have done the last couple of weeks. But that was definitely easily Ibu's best performance in a red shirt, and he's got a lot of great performances to come in the near future, mate. But yeah, it was tremendous. Like, it's especially when Joel Matip isn't playing. It's great to see. Yes, people can nitpick in terms of Ibu this season. He's still, as you said there, mate, he's still a young player, and there's no one else better in world football than to lay off than Virgil van Dijk. We've seen the development of Gomez over the last couple of years when he has been fit, been tremendous, and Matip as well. I think Van Dijk has brought the best out of Joel Matip and vice versa for all the players, when they've both been in different pairs as well. So we those 20-odd centre-back pairings we had last season. So, tremendous, mate. And as the lads have said already, and everyone in chat, we're not going to be playing perfect every single game of the season. There will be coming times where Alisson, yes, will have to bail us out in certain games. Our defence, Trent, Robinson, every player will step up. And if you want to win trophies come the end of the season, every player's got to step up in every stage of the moment of the season, mate. But made up a colossal display from those two at the back.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you on that. And guys, let us know your thoughts on that as well. And Owen, I'll ask you this. Jurgen spoke about a few days ago saying that, he thinks now that Virgil is back to his best to what he was before the injury occurred. What was it now? 18 months ago or more than that now. Do you think that Virgil is now back to his best after, 4 or 5 months of playing, competitive football now? Do you think that he is now back to what he has been over the last couple of seasons?
Yes. No, I'll give you some more details. No, because we've been talking about it on Cop On, actually. On the Cop On podcast recently, I've been asking the guests exactly the same questions because we've been seeing signs of it. And we decided maybe 3 matches ago that, yes, he was back to his best. And in the last 3 matches, he's been absolutely unreal. That moment, that moment when Dzeko had that touch and it was a little bit too far ahead of him, allowing Virgil to run in front and put his arms out. I mean, it was so dominant that, Dzeko took 2 paces before he was like, oh my Lord. And he was, collapsing in as his soul drained away from his, through his feet onto the pitch, and it's still there. He lost his soul, and it's another attacker that Virgil's done that too. I mean, I think he's back to his best. Yeah, in terms of pace, there were a couple of sprints that he did yesterday, but he never really sprints. You know what I mean? He's not like Speedy Gonzalez. He's sort of, he's like a colossus. He's like a giant that just 2 strides and he's there. 2 strides to everyone else's 10. So it's beautiful to watch. We are so lucky because I don't think we'll ever see a defender as good. I really don't. I just think he's as good as a defender can be. And, praise be to all the beings, both real, people who've helped him in his rehab and, in the spirit lands for bringing Virgil back to us because he's looking absolutely brilliant again, and it's just a joy. We got to cherish every minute.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do 1000% agree with you. And look, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. For me, you look at the stats. Already, he's the best defender in the world, automatically coming back from a serious injury based on stats and statistics. But now, even if he's going up a level, he's miles clear. And don't let anyone tell you different. Anyway, but guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. 1892 Reds podcast. Hello, I'm guessing it's Luke. I hope you are well, gents. Liz says Klopp substitutions were brilliant. Yes, they were. We will talk about that in a little bit. I think Liverpool will win the Champions League, bring on City next round. Hold that thought, data. There is half time in the football. We do still have a game at Anfield. Anyway, can I just say Dallas a wanker? Yes, you can say that.
We'll say aye.
These are the kind of games you need to win if you want to go all the way. Absolutely. And Jamie, you said it earlier about the substitutions, and you said that the importance of it, and as the chat has already said, for me it was just as the other lads have said as well, it was the fact that Liverpool went up by 10 yards in the midfield, where Hendo was going above the centre circle instead of Fabinho was protecting the 4. Do you think that was just Jurgen thinking off the spot, or do you think that was a tactic from the beginning? Because it was just, I don't know, it just seemed well organised that all 3 of them, Jordan Henderson, Naby Keita and Luis Diaz came on the pitch. For me, it was a tactic that I think Jurgen thought about and, did brilliantly. Would you agree with that, or do you think it was just a spirit of the moment?
I'm not too sure. I don't think he expected us to get so dominated in midfield. Especially when you're playing Fab and Thiago in that midfield. I was shocked when Fabinho was the one who came off for Hendo, and Hendo gained into that number 6 position. But as I said, I think the main sub was the Bobby sub, because the ball was sticking up top as soon as Bobby came on. And when the ball sticks up top, everyone can press. You know, the back line can get forward. If the back line's pressing, the midfield 3 can press as well. And if you noticed as well, when Bobby came on, especially the last 20 minutes, Trent was at his highest up the pitch. He didn't get that high all game because Bobby was on. He could hold the ball. Trent could make them runs into the box. I mean, Trent almost got an assist for Diaz, but he took one touch, probably too many for his shot. And yeah, I think the sub's perfect. But what I loved about the subs we made is the quality didn't change. So the players that came off to the players that came on, the quality was just as good. It was just about fresher legs for the last half hour, changed it up a bit tactically, and that's what saw us through the game. It was that squad depth that we've always had. We've always had squad depth. Our problem is our squad depth gets injured. And then we've got nothing else. But when they're fit, our squad depth is as good as anything. And it showed in that game by the substitutions.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you on that. And Jack, it's now 3 weeks' time we play Inter Milan at Anfield. Of course, a lot can happen in 3 weeks with both teams. Of course, us, we've got league games to try and catch up with Manchester City, and of course, a League Cup final as well. And of course, Inter have their own title race where, well, you know, as before we came on, I think Napoli were drawing against Barcelona in the Europa League. But of course, they've got, you know, AC Milan and Napoli to contend with in Serie A. You know, how big will these 3 weeks be for both teams in terms of confidence? Because of course both teams could be, you know, near the top. You know, Liverpool could have won a trophy in that time. You know, Inter Milan could be clear of Serie A. You know, how important is it from now until those 3 weeks for both teams?
Yeah, football's all about momentum in it, mate. And I think we've watched a lot of Liverpool sides. I think even if the confidence of if we can win a trophy against Chelsea in the coming days, sorry. So it's going to be positive in terms of we can get our foot over the line with that. But as you said, I think listening from a lot of social media over the last couple of weeks, especially after the results, the Inter fans, their attention possibly could switch to the league now. Obviously, getting beat 2-0 at home against even as Jamie alluded to, they were playing like 110% Inter, and they were like, oh, what else can we do? But obviously, they're not going to come to Anfield and roll over. They come with the same attitude, try and play football. But what was positive and what Jurgen Klopp, that's what made us all made up after the game, was they will have to come with the sole purpose of trying to get at Liverpool. And we've seen teams, if you come to Anfield, we can make that pitch so big or so enclosed. The fans will be on the back as well. And we could see one of the best performances in a very long time in terms of Liverpool, because we've seen bigger teams than Inter Milan whittle under pressure in recent years. You all know that team in Barca. And that was even with Leo Messi on the pitch. So, yeah, I'm confident, mate. Obviously, you can't be too overconfident, but we've all of us have seen our lads play the last couple of weeks and even the last couple of years. I'm intrigued. I'm excited to see, as the lads have said before, Bobby Firmino. Owen mentioned Bobby. He's going to be so important, and I think a lot of people, even myself, I did start Jota in my starting 11. I think Jurgen Klopp went with Jota, but I think everyone's not everyone, but we know how good Bobby is. But in terms of the outside world, I've kind of forgot how good Bobby is. He's still a very good, talented footballer, and I'm pretty sure he'll remind everyone on the European stage in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know to end off, really, you know, the talking point of this, Jurgen spoke, I think it was maybe last week, about he didn't want to rely on Anfield again, you know, similar to what we have done against, you know, Atletico Madrid in the past at this stage of the Champions League. And now it's not necessarily we are relying so much on Anfield. We just need, you know, the usual European night Anfield in terms of, you know, being that electrifying place. Like, we do know and love it. But do you think it'll be kind of similar to, you know, what it was earlier on this season against Atletico Madrid, in terms of everyone was up for it? They could tell that, you know, even though it wasn't a game that we had to win, per se. It was the fact that, we knew it was against Atletico Madrid. We knew that, the passion of it was needed. Do you think there'll be a similar type of atmosphere or similar type of situation as the Atletico Madrid game earlier on in the season?
I think the atmosphere will almost automatically be better because it's a knockout. And, the closer you get to the final, the more raucous Anfield becomes, doesn't it? So I think the atmosphere, you're guaranteed to have an absolute belter of an atmosphere. Of course, Inter could kill it with an early goal. I thought they were pretty good for 70 odd minutes, and but they were just absolutely spent by 70 minutes. That was the thing that got me about last night's performance. So I think, Klopp's right. He's focused on, as he always does, he's focused on the performance of the team more than anything else. So that's why he's saying we don't want to rely on Anfield. We want to rely on ourselves, which is exactly the right thing. But I just think, compared to earlier in the season, now we do have Virgil, as I said before, back to his best. We've got so many things going for us. The last 7 matches, by the way, I didn't realise until I just looked it up. Our last 7 matches in all competitions, we've won all of them, and we've conceded only 2 goals. Andy Robertson is also another one who's back to his very best, and he wasn't earlier in the season. We've added Luis Diaz, who looks like a world-class player. He really does. In 3 games, 3 appearances, he's looked unbelievable, hasn't he? So, I think we're better off than we were against Atletico, but we can't we can't just turn up and expect to win. We have to put the performances in, of course we do. And it is, in no way going to be easy. And you need a bit of luck, like with the first big chance of last night when he hit the crossbar. Çalhanoğlu hit the crossbar. That, we need that kind of luck. But I do think that we just got too much for Inter. And, even if they tried like yesterday, they put their all into that first sort of, 70 minutes, and then they were pooped. They were done. And, I think I could just see that happening again. So even if they score 1, maybe 2, we'll get another 1 or 2 at the end of the match. I do really fancy us. But yeah, hopefully we can stay fit. And I don't know, we've all been scarred by injuries, haven't we? So I don't know.
Yeah, no, you could definitely say that. I'll ask you, Owen, this. I'll go around everyone else as well. It was a question last night that I thought was very interesting. Which team do you think, out of everyone, that's, of course, there's still another half of teams to play, but who do you think is the team that is the most threatening to Liverpool this season in the Champions League?
Man City. Real. I was at the PSG Real match the other day. I got a ticket at the last moment. I was really thrilled. One of my students was going, and she couldn't go in the end. So she said, "Do you want a ticket?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." So it was great. It was a really nice seat as well, and it was brilliant. But I got to see them really up close. I was in the 3rd row next to the pitch. Which is a great place to watch football because I so rarely get to watch it so up close. You can see all the technique, you can see how they're looking for each other, all the passing, and in conclusion, Real Madrid are rubbish. PSG are good, but they're beatable. But I think PSG are good. They were really, really good, like 1-11. But I don't know. I just think, the English clubs, Man City, and Chelsea as well for their style. It's a hard style to play against. Tommy ball, boring as heck, but it's hard to play against. So yeah, Man City and Chelsea.
Okay, and yes, Chelsea football is boring football. Jack, who would be the biggest threat for Liverpool for you?
Yeah, I concur with what Owen said. Absolutely spot on. I think you can't look past the English sides. I think in every sense you've seen England come up against Germany, come up against Spain as well in recent years in the Champions League, and all 3 of us were a cut above the rest. And I'm not including Man United because they're an absolute bloody shambles, and that would be the goal. That I'd say I'm excited, but that game, them against Atletico, I tell you, if Atletico do not win that Man United side, then Simeone needs to get the sack, mate. I'm sorry, but yeah,
we can get them in the next round. That would be great.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be lovely. We'll beat them. We get Coutinho back quite well. He scored past them at Old Trafford, but I'd go Man City, mate, just for the sheer fact of it's Man City, but in Europe, we'll wipe the floor with them. It's our competition. It's our baby, and we know how to win the competition. So.
Absolutely, unlike some teams. Kyle Walker. Jamie, who would it be for you, mate? Do you agree also with Manchester City?
Liverpool and Man City are the two best club sides in world football at this moment in time. I look around the top teams in the league, around Europe. I look at Real Madrid. They're not the team they were. Their midfield has been together. I know they're a great threesome in their midfield, but they've been together for 8 years now, and they're starting to look old. In that PSG game, they looked old to me. They got overrun. If PSG had more about them, they could have finished that tie off. Really could have. They could have won that 4-0 quite easy. I look at the other teams around. You got Ajax, nah. Benfica, nah. Juventus. This ain't Juventus of 10, 15 years ago. This is a dead Juventus team. I just think at this moment in time, Liverpool, Man City are a cut above everyone else in Europe. And that's just not us being biased, being on the Liverpool channel. You just look around. We've just beaten the Italian champions. We've beaten AC Milan. We've destroyed our group. We've won every game in the Champions League. I look at Bayern Munich. They just got a jammy equaliser in the injury time against
last night,
Salzburg. So everyone goes on about Bayern Munich. If they come against Liverpool, Man City, they're getting battered. I predicted at the beginning of the season it's a Liverpool-Man City final. And I'm still going with that. I think it'd be a Liverpool-Manchester City final, unless they draw against each other, obviously. They stay apart. For me, they're the two best clubs in Europe right now. And I don't think I can't see anyone else better than them two teams.
I'd love that if that happens because we'll beat them. I'm not confident.
Well, you heard Pep himself. We're the only team he fears.
Yeah, no, and he's right to. And one thing I realised just before, actually, because I was googling when the final is in St. Petersburg, just getting a little bit ahead of myself, of course. But it's May the 28th, which happens to be Phil Foden's, John Stones, and Kyle Walker's birthday. All three of them, they have their birthday on May the 28th. So if anyone's going to overthink something, again, it's those City players and Pep Guardiola. They're going to get all, flustered. Oh, it's my birthday. I'm going to win it on my birthday. We're going to break their hearts. We're going to hammer them in the final. I'm booking my tickets.
Well, to be fair, I'm one of these people that still thinks that City won't get to the final. And also, Makendo, I know that Brenda...
sorry, Owen, you can have a shout at me, man. She was like, are you still alive? I'm like, yes. No, Owen was in the middle of his piece. Speaking of how shit Man City went.
Sorry, hello, Jackson.
Look at it, though. I still think Bayern Munich are up there. I'm one of these people that still think that they are... up there. For me, I think the one thing that gets me with City is mentality. I think they do have the mentality problem. Look, their team is brilliant. Don't get me wrong. They're 1-11. Their whole squad is brilliant. But for me, as soon as you get in the heads of those City players, they've gone. We've seen this before, especially recently. Kyle Walker with his stupid little TikTok with Trent's comment. It's just so stupid.
He looked unwell. As well. He's like, you're right.
It's the thing knowing it Con as well. Like and Reds, we know when we played Real, they experienced shone throughout that game. Yeah. Whatever happened with Karius, like that happened. But in terms of quality, and you cannot buy that. You cannot buy intelligence. Yes, if City take the lead, but if the case if we did get to the final, we'd know exactly what we've done because we've been here 9 times. As a football club in 9 European Cup finals. Obviously, we won 6. But it's all about moments in football. And Salah will be disappointed about not winning the AFCON. But, yeah, I fully back at Liverpool. We were playing in bloody miles in the Champions League game. I'd 100% back us winning that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Dave is in saying the boys are back in town. Hello, Dave. hopefully on a fantastic day, my friend. Tom's gone with Ajax as a Champions League. Yeah, that's true. But to be fair, Ten Hag has completely changed around Haller's whole professional career, because at West Ham he couldn't do anything. Now he's smashing in goals for fun.
I love watching Ajax. I've seen them a couple of times this season, and they're ridiculous in Europe, and you never know.
I think if they face an English team, though, I just don't see. I just don't see it.
No, yeah, I would agree with that. Did you enjoy the beer? Question mark. I think that's with Dave. Jeannie said, eating Glasgow. Jeannie, hopefully on a fantastic day. Gary says City. Jeannie says Jack, the ugly shirt. Well, come on, it's a beautiful shirt. It's blue. It's blue. Let's face it, they're all. I'm not going to say that. Liverpool fear no team. Says Gary, and as well, Tom says, Brenda. Yes, hello, Brenda. As well.
She needs her own segments on the bloody everyone show. Just
to be fair, we need to sort that out. We need to sort like a Brenda alert. Anyway, but let's talk, of course, about the other thing that we want to speak about in this video, and that is, of course, James Milner's new contract. We'll quickly get it up on screen for you guys. Anyway, Fabrizio Romano a few days ago did well, of course, and many other journalists saying Liverpool offered James Milner a 1-year contract extension. Talks are now underway as Jurgen Klopp wants Milner to be part of the team also next season. Talks will continue in the coming days/weeks. It's up to Milner now. Jamie, it's interesting to me that the fact that there's been no talk of retirement concerning James Milner. He has come out and said that he wants to play, I think, for another 2 seasons, he said, or at least 1 more season. Do you think that should he be getting a new contract at Liverpool? I've seen many people's thoughts and opinions on this. And if not, and if he was to leave Liverpool in the summer, where do you think he could end up? Do you think he could end up in the Premier League still, or Championship, or somewhere else?
That for me, Milner stays. I don't understand this notion that, he's 36 now, why do we want to sign him for another year? It's called experience. Players, like if Twitter was around when Gary McAllister signed for Liverpool, everyone would have had a meltdown, like a literal meltdown. I mean, he was Player of the Year that year. He was fantastic. And if you read Stevie's book, he thanks him for so much because it helped him improve as a footballer. And that's what James Milner do. James Milner knows his worth. He knows he's not going to start games and play 90 minutes all the time and stuff like that. But you see him around the youngsters, and he's so good for that. He's a professional lad. You look at a lot of these teams that are having massive troubles around the league now, these big teams, so-called big teams that have massive troubles around the league. They haven't got professionals like a James Milner. Why would you let that go? I don't understand that. You know, he's not going to get a massive pay rise. He'll probably stay on the same where he is, or he might come down a little bit. It's just a year extension to have that wisdom and that experience and professionalism in your team. And you see him in training, still barking orders and telling people what they should be doing. Why would you let that go? Makes no sense. You know, if he's there and he's available and he's willing to stay for another year, for me, you do the deal. And Jurgen Klopp can see that as well, and that's why he wants it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do agree with you with that. Jack, for me, you know, as Jamie says there, for me, I remember back to, I believe, the game against Bournemouth when we won the title, and we had our first real sticky period in that season. And I always remember, I think the Reds were warming up before that game, and you can just hear Milner barking at the rest of the group saying, you know, come on, we have to get through this. We have to be the better team, you know, the intensity and so on. And that's just one little, you know, clip from, a training session or, training part. We don't know what it's like, behind, the scenes and things like that. But what we can tell that he is a tremendous part of what Liverpool have created, under these, 3, 4, 5 years, that we have had successful football. Do you think that, it's a must that James Milner should sign? Because for me, I think that especially with the likes of Harvey Elliott coming through, Curtis Jones still developing, Kate Gordon as well, he can, elevate them up as well. Because let's face it, there is a thing that yesterday he did play his 800th, game in all competitions yesterday in professional football. How huge is that for this Liverpool squad, going forward if he was to sign?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better than Jay before. Like, he's spot on. Money can't put a price on what Milner offers. Obviously, we only see a small segment, and it's probably only about 5% of what Milner actually does behind closed doors. Jay mentioned Gary McAllister, and certain players you look at around the league is there's a lack of real quality leaders. Henderson provides that. We've seen that when he come on yesterday. Real players that people can look up to. If you're like a 16, 15, 14-year-old coming through into the academy now, and you got professionals, and even Trent, 23. Even Trent, when he was coming in, pretty sure, James Milner helped his development. And it's always integral. You can't put a price tag on it, and long may it continue, mate. I'm hoping we do manage to keep hold of him. If Steven Gerrard does one day replace Jurgen Klopp in the next 5-10 years' time, I'm pretty sure Liverpool Football Club need to tie down James Milner at the football club and offer him a coaching role, or allow him to get his badges behind the closed doors and do everything possible to keep this man, because it'd be a massive it'd be a jeopardy really in terms of if we did go to another club.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Owen, would you agree with both the lads? And plus, do you think that, Millie will do his, as Jack said, his coaching badges? Of course, that will be the next step into, what is hopefully, a great career after, James Milner does retire, because I can see him definitely becoming, as the lads have already said, a great coach, especially learning under Jurgen Klopp as well, for the time that he does have left at Liverpool.
Man, he's irreplaceable. I mean, it's brilliant what the lad said there. Absolutely agree with 100% of all of it. But no one's mentioned his social media as well. He's funny. He's really funny. He's posting about mini eggs. He's doing his ironing. Remember when he joined Twitter and he posted he's doing his ironing? But my favorite one was when he got smacked by the ball really hard in the face, and then he tweeted, "Has anyone got any tips for getting the Champions League logo off her face?" I thought that was brilliant. So he's really funny. He made his debut on the 10th of November 2002 in the Premier League. 2002. For context, Cade Gordon was born in 2004. So he's literally been playing professional top-flight football since Cade Gordon was born, and he's a great credit to himself. He's a great credit to his family. He's a great credit to the club, and if you want a role model or a hero in life, someone who looks after themselves, who looks after other people, who's always a good laugh, who seems like a great guy. That question, who would you go out to the pub with? I'm a non-drinker, like James Milner. And not that I've got anything against drink. I used to drink as much as I possibly could. But, I just think James Milner would be really funny and great company to go out with for a Ribena or a cup of tea or whatever. So, yeah, we need to tie him down for 1 year on a playing contract, and then for the rest of his life backstage, because he's got it all. I absolutely adore the guy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do absolutely agree with the rest of the lads as well. To be fair, that, as Owen said, his social media was brilliant. I remember when we did a Champions League video and he completely went on a rampage, I believe, on Ox for putting 2 sugars in his cup of tea, something like
Yeah,
that.
That's right.
Yeah, which was hilarious.
And there's that video where he was shouting at, was it Costas? Or was it last season? He was like, Costas, yeah. And you can hear him on the telly. He's like, get together.
No, I love James Milner, and I hope he does sign that new deal. To be fair, anyway, let me go back up because Liz does have her comments. James freaking Milner, apologies, Helen. To be fair, we can't put the freaking in there. Have a good night, a great night, all. Liz, thank you very much for tuning in, and of course, James freaking Milner forever. Milner can be the example for players like Kate Gordon, Bradley, Dexter Morton, and Boltman. Yeah, no, exactly. Absolutely. I hope he signs the deal. Keep him on a 1-year role deal. Make him into a coach. What better person to have for the kids to look up to? Yeah, absolutely, John. 1,000% agree with you on that. Plus, James freaking Milner can slap someone to make them play better, says Lawrence. Yeah, to be fair, yes, he could. Milner will still be playing know when he's getting his pension. The man is a machine. To be fair, the bleep test has nothing on James Milner. To be fair,
He is the bleep test.
Yeah, he is the bleep test. Jean says, agree. Milner is important for the mentality of the young players, especially as well. I believe. Nope. Go to more comments. Where else are we? Jeannie says, like Liz, you never walk alone. John says, you seen it a couple of years ago when he asked if he could travel with the kids for the cup game against Villa. What a human being he is. Yeah, absolutely agree with you on that, John. He has a door named after him. If sick, he must stay. Says Liz. Andrew says, I've always been a fan of Milner. He's basically the engine when he has played games. Obviously, he's always on the bench helping the young players, which has so far helped Harvey and Tyler Morton as well. Yorkshire Steel says, Gary, get him some Yorkshire tea bags as a present. Remember when Milner slapped Costas as well? To be fair,
that's the only thing he did to him, probably.
Well, remember when a lot of players had black eyes over the last couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah.
I certainly think James Milner is a part of that. Anyway, obviously helping people, of course. Anyway, but guys, we are going to leave it there for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in to tonight's show. I do very much appreciate it, as always. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with a match preview show for, of course, the Norwich game on Sunday. But first, before we do head off, Jamie, thank you for coming on. Debut on the channel as well. Where can everyone find you on the socials, mate?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed that. Really good show. Hearts of Liverpool, Jamie Phillips YouTube channel, and on Twitter, Jamie LFC39.
Brilliant. Jack, thank you for coming on, mate. Where can they find you on the socials?
Hey, Jack Back LFC on all socials, mate. Thank you for having me on, mate. Pleasure to speak to Owen and Jay as always, and everyone in comments. Have a lovely evening, everyone, and sit back and relax, and we can watch a bit of the footy as well. But yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Absolute pleasure, man. And Owen, thank you for coming on. What's coming up on the Cop On podcast?
Well, I'm going to Portugal tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, for 5 days. A proper break, and which is awesome. So I'm not actually going to do a podcast this weekend, but leading up to the final, hopefully we'll get something done next week. After I get back, hopefully in time to watch the Leeds match. Or else I'll just demand, I might take the plane hostage and sort of bring it down between Portugal and home, so I can just, just for 2 hours, so I can just find a network to get a stream on my phone or something. I don't know. I'll have to find a solution. Because, after the Leeds game, between the Leeds game and the Chelsea final, but there'll be the next episode. You can get it on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you very much for having me on, and it's really nice to meet Jamie and great to see Jack, and thanks a lot, Connor.
Absolute pleasure, my friend. And guys, everyone's links I will leave in the video description down below anyway. So, go down below, check all the lads out, and all the great content there anyway. But like I did say, we will be back tomorrow with a match preview show for you guys against Norwich. Of course, I believe we do have the guys from the 1892 Reds podcast coming on. So it should be a lot of fun tomorrow for that anyway. But until next time, guys, that is going to be it from us. I've been Connor from the Cop Council. Please stay safe, please stay well, and we will see you all tomorrow. Ciao, Reds.